Today we are going to take a look at the notes about ecology. A habitat is a place where an organism lives, like a house or a home. A niche is an organism's role in the community. Other words like producer or autotrophs, they mean the same thing. These are organisms that can make their own food, such as plants. Consumers or heterotrophs, on the other hand, they have to eat their own food, like animals or humans. Furthermore, decomposer is an organism that can recycle dead matter. So examples that we see are fungi. Or bacteria that eat dead things, they're decomposers. Decomposers are actually a type of consumer, and they're also heterotrophic. Next up, talking about food webs and energy flow. The predator-prey relationships of living organisms are shown in the food webs. Each feeding level is called a trophic level. At the bottom of every food web, you have the producers. So right here you have a producer. They get their energy from the sunlight. Consumers are named based on their order in the food web. There are primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary consumers. So over here, this is a producer, this is a primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and then here you have a decomposer that breaks down the tertiary consumer and breaks it down into nutrients back into producer. So energy flows from the beginning, the grass, all the way up to the consumer. So the grass would have 100% energy, this would have 10%, this would have 1%, and this would have 0.1% energy. So scientists, they use energy pyramids to show the loss of energy between trophic levels. At each trophic level, only 10% of the total energy is passed on to the next trophic level. The most energy in an ecosystem is at the producer level. So over here you have 100% energy, primary consumers have 10%, you have 1%, and 0.1%. So what happens to the remaining 90% of energy? It's lost as heat or used up by the animal or plant. Next up, talking about succession. There are two types of succession. There is primary succession, in which no living matter or soil survives. For example, glaciers and volcanoes are examples of primary succession. There is no soil, and the first thing that comes after is the pioneer species like lichen and moss. On the opposite hand, over here on the right-hand side, we have secondary succession. Soil survives. Examples are deforestation, hurricanes, and forest fires. So taking a look, after there is no soil, the pioneer species is the first species that colonizes an area during primary succession, but are eventually replaced by other organisms. So before you have barren rock, then lichen and moss comes in. They are pioneer species. Their job is to take the rock and break it down into soil. Eventually small plants, intermediate plants, taller plants, and eventually you get to the very end, which is known as the climax community. It is a stable community that results after the newly formed community has reached a sense of balance. Next topic in ecology, we have to talk about relationships. First thing, predator and prey is when one organism kills and eats another. Second thing, competition is when two organisms try to use the same resources and usually results in one organism's population decreasing. So this is when people fight over food, fight over space, land, or even fight over mates. So competition is two negative signs. It hurts both people. Then we have symbiosis. Symbiosis is the different types of relationships that we have talked about. First word is called mutualism, when both species benefit. Second one is called commensalism, when one benefits and one is neutral. This is such as when your friend tries to hitch a ride with you over to McDonald's. He gets a free ride, he benefits. You aren't affected, you're neutral. Last one that we have is parasitism. This is when one species benefits, another is harmed, such as mosquito and the human. The mosquito gets blood, they're happy. Human, we get our blood drained, we are sad. All right, and this is the top 10. We're going to pause right here.